Did you know that 49% of Americans distrust or disapprove of nuclear energy? I personally believe this is too high of a statistic, and I hopefully will prove today that learning about the process, which is what I will be explaining in some simple topics around it, will prove that there's nothing to be afraid of, and it is just stigma keeping it down from being a more popular and well-used energy source. I've done extensive research and even talked to an expert in a related field to nuclear energy. So I'd like to go over the three most important parts, in my opinion, of what nuclear energy takes to be made and how positive it can be and beneficial as well. The first part is the heart of the system, which are the fuel rods right inside the center of the reactor core. They are made out of uranium, and according to the U.S. Energy Information Association, are from deposits in the ground from all throughout the world and imported to America. There are hundreds of rods used inside a circle pattern in that core, and they're refined in a very specific way that makes them very clean and safe. I would like to go over it, but I do not have enough time to. Fission and fusion are used inside of those rods to create heat, which then turns the water around it into steam, which creates energy. But before I explain how fission and fusion work in this process, I first want to explain how that water works. The water inside of the process gets heated around here in this cycle. I'll go over one aptly named steam cycle. There are many different processes that heat up the water in a nuclear reactor. In steam cycle, according to World Nuclear Association, it is heated up in a cycle to where steam is created at one point and is put into a turbine, which actually creates the electricity or energy in the process, and then gets turned back into water as that cycle continues, therefore not wasting water and being quite resource friendly in that aspect. Now, if I could go back to fission and fusion, they are definitely a backbone of the system. They are very much needed, otherwise you just have uranium and some water going around it. First, fission is the process within which the atoms inside of these uranium fuel rods, one is taken and slammed into the other atom and basically breaks it open, and then when you have those two other smaller atoms off of it, with that process, heat is expanded all around it, which heats up that water into the steam that I just discussed. Then in fusion, it's a very similar process, but a little different. Basically, it does a reverse, where they combine two atoms or isotopes of that fuel rod, of that uranium, and basically that process does the same thing, where it creates heat around it, and that heats the water into steam instead. According to Duke Energy, fusion isn't really used much in current power plants, but is being looked into because it's appealing, which is because it creates a lot less nuclear waste than fission, which is being used already. This shows that there's a lot of progress still happening in the nuclear energy department, and proves, to me at least, that even though it is already a very safe and effective and eco-friendly process, it can get even better from there. But overall, I believe that these are the three most important parts of a nuclear facility in a nuclear reactor and energy process. It is a very much more complex process outside of this, but if you want, you can go learn more after this, and I encourage you to look up resources and understand even more about how it works. But remember to recall that fuel rods are the heart of the process. They use uranium with fission and fusion to heat up, either through breaking it apart or putting together those atoms in the fuel rod, in the uranium, and then the water gets heated into steam into turbines that then get cycled back through, while that turbine, as mentioned, creates electricity from it all. And that's how most of the process works. I encourage you to go out and inform yourself and inform others of this, so maybe that statistic can go down and it won't be so stigmatized as an energy source. Thank you for listening.